Hey everyone, welcome to Smart Course, the go-to place for authoritative information and strategies for special needs and learning disorders, especially ADHD. Today we're going to talk about ADHD and genetics. We will discuss information we've collected across multiple blogs, websites, and media focused on ADHD. In particular, we'll cover basic genetics, ADHD, inheritability, and presence in families, non-genetic causes of ADHD, and free genetic studies. We've also covered symptoms of ADHD in another video on our channel, so if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the like button and comment, and then visit our channel to watch it. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get notified of future videos. Lastly, we know a lot of people need this information, so please share this video with someone who may need it. Plus, if you like, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment, and sign up for our upcoming summit at this link. Then we will pin your comment to the top and we will send you our expert-curated list of ADHD resources. To view the summit, please click the annotation in the top right of your screen. The information in this video is curated from esteemed and authoritative resources like Attitude Magazine, genome.gov, and nhs.uk. As a quick disclaimer, always consult a medical professional when dealing with any condition. These conditions do not look the same for every person. You know your child best, so if you notice anything abnormal, make sure you consult a professional for a proper assessment, diagnosis, and treatment. There's a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Is ADHD a purely social phenomenon, or is it strictly the result of a gene or group of genes? All the current research points to ADHD having a genetic causation. The focus of this genetic research is on the genes that have to do with the dopamine neurotransmitter, since the ability to maintain attention is controlled by the dopamine chemical. Some of the reasons why researchers are reaching this conclusion is due in part to hereditary studies, such as those of twins and families with ADHD, and the inheritability of ADHD. ADHD tends to be pervasive in families, which suggests a genetic connection. Aside from the conclusive studies showing biological differences of ADHD brains versus neurotypical brains, it has been shown that families who have a child with ADHD are 4 times as likely to also have a relative of the child with ADHD who also has ADHD. In the case of identical twins, a study observed that most identical twins also had ADHD for both of the twins. Dopamine levels in children and adults with ADHD are low, which impairs neurotransmitter activity. Neurotransmitters are chemical compounds in the brain that allow the neurons or brain cells to communicate with each other. Okay, so now we've established the biological nature of the ADHD brain, but why is it important to look at the hereditary aspect? Since the evidence shows that families that have a child with ADHD tend to have other family members that also have ADHD, if we trace back the history of the ADHD behavior in family members, we start to see a pattern. This reveals the crippling and devastating impact ADHD can have on those exhibiting ADHD symptoms. To know more about ADHD symptoms, please click the annotation in the top right of your screen. Some of the symptoms ADHD affect are being able to maintain attention and control, impulsivity, which directly affects one's ability to be able to perform a job, complete academic tasks, and interact with others. This can be traced all the way back to the 1940s in some cases. The Lipton family, as covered in an article on Attitude Magazine, was the subject of one such study. It originated with Brian Lipton, son of Shay and Stanley Lipton, who was diagnosed with ADHD. Brian's mother, Shay Lipton, had herself and her father evaluated for ADHD, leading to further discovery of other Lipton's family members from the 1940s who also had ADHD symptoms. Buck is Shay's father and was born around that time period. Since grade school, he exhibited the symptoms of ADHD and the negative impact it had on his academics, leading to him dropping out from high school. This all changed for him when he started a job that he could focus on, which was working on cars. When that job fell through, he went through many other jobs that he couldn't do since he wasn't able to focus. The jobs were extremely boring, and he had trouble being organized. This only changed when out of a desire to not let his uncle down, who had given him a job in the commercial landscaping business, that he asked to be made the lead salesman for the company. This proved to be the right fit for Buck, since, with his help, his uncle's company achieved statewide success. This wasn't the only example that Shay was able to find in her family tree, such as Brian's great-uncle Barry, whom she suspected also had ADHD. Barry's childhood and adolescence had much rebelliousness, frequent restlessness, and bouts of impulsivity, which led to him being expelled from high school in the 11th grade. To know more about ADHD and mood disorders, please click the annotation on the top right of your screen. His draft into the Army changed his life for the better, since it gave him the structure he needed. He enjoyed what he was doing and ended up being very good at his duties in the eyes of the Army. Shay Lipton's most pronounced symptom was being a daydreamer while being in grade school. Naturally, she was diagnosed with ADHD type 1, the inattentive type. In grade school, she had issues with concentration in classes she did not like, but was doing well in classes she did like. Even though she studied with extra effort in classes she did not like, she would end up not being able to remember what she studied for a test she had prepared for. Currently, Shay still has issues with maintaining attention while reading, since she can only maintain it for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. Her profession is that of a graphic designer, which she has no frequent issues with. The last relative that Shay was able to suspect of having ADHD was her sister. Shay's younger sister, Sharon, also exhibited patterns of impulsive, forgetful, and distractible behavior, as well as a comorbidity. Due to being frustrated with her college academics, she quit college multiple times and received a depression diagnosis, which would have become an ADHD comorbidity if she were also diagnosed with ADHD. To know more about ADHD and comorbid disorders, please click the annotation on the top right of your screen. These problems, in turn, led to substance abuse treatment and relapse. One of the things to take from this is to know how new the diagnosis of ADHD is. In the 1940s, during the time of Barry and Buck, there was no concept of ADHD. Brian's older family members reflect about all the suffering, conflict, trouble, and lost opportunities that could have been avoided if current treatments and diagnoses existed in their time. These are adults with ADHD, and they can't fix the past, but they can apply the benefits of ADHD treatments today. Try to see how much information you can gather about your family history, and see if relatives as well as great relatives had any ADHD symptoms. This can help shed light on the pattern of ADHD in your family, as well as onboard others who are not convinced of its hereditary nature. This raises the question, is genetics all there is to ADHD? If you haven't already, please hit the notification bell below and join our newsletter, because we'll be sharing much more resources on how to help your family cope better with ADHD, both at school and at home. There is support for non-genetic causes of ADHD, such as those stemming from injury to the brain, abnormalities in the development of the brain, as well as other potential environmental causes. There are studies that try to show that some of the environmental factors that might be contributing to ADHD could be chemical exposure, toxins in food, toiletries, as well as home care products. Please click the annotation on the top right of your screen to know more about living and treating ADHD with natural remedies. Such exposure can be further exacerbated the younger the child is, especially in infants, due to their body's ongoing biological development, which is even more impactful for the unborn fetus with lifelong consequences. It is a fact that many household products are toxic or even lethal, which is why they have usage instructions. And regardless of where the research is on this, it is always a good idea to avoid or safely mitigate any usage of such products. Limit the impact that overexposure can have to you and your family by being aware of the safety risks of each product, natural product alternatives, and product safety guidelines. However, this research is not accepted by the whole of the scientific community, which shows the complexity of ADHD. To help enroll the public in supporting research into the complex nature of ADHD, researchers have created voluntary studies that families of children with ADHD and the children themselves can participate in. One such study is offered by the National Human Genome Research Institute in the state of Maryland. The requirements are that all participants per family must be blood related. Families must have at least 2 children. Ages of the children must be between 7 and 18. One of the children must be ADHD diagnosed. Other children in the family not diagnosed with ADHD must be at least 7 years old. Enrollment of both parents and the entire family is preferred. Since it has been established that ADHD may involve more than one gene and tends to be present in family members, the assistance of the entire family along with the ADHD children is preferred due to ADHD's hereditary aspect. The National Human Genome Research Institute has offered incentives for families to participate. The study is free and at no cost to the families. Each participant will receive a gift of $10, conditional upon the receipt of their blood samples. For families who wish to participate, this is the process as described by the provider of the study. The family will go through a screening process to determine eligibility for the study. Once the candidates have been approved, questionnaires and consent forms will be sent to each participating family member in the mail. Each participant's questionnaire will focus on their past behavior and medical history. Each questionnaire can take from 10 to 20 minutes to complete. In some cases, a 45-minute telephone questionnaire might also be requested for each participant. If satisfactory results are obtained from the questionnaire, then the participants will be asked to obtain blood samples with the aid of their primary care provider, and then have the samples sent back in a blood collection kit that will be provided beforehand to the families. The kit itself will have instructions for the collection and return of the samples. Privacy concerns are addressed by the secure policies that the researchers have put in place. The information received from the participants will be strictly confidential. Physical and digital security will be maintained by the use of computer files with password protection and locked cabinets. All samples obtained will not be labeled or indicated with any of the participants' personal information, and each sample will have a unique code instead. The results of the research will not be shared with the participants, and the study should not be mistaken as treatment or any type of diagnostic, since they are purely for research purposes. At any point in the study, the participants can withdraw from it. Some of the benefits of the genetic research into ADHD is easing the diagnosis of ADHD while addressing further required treatments for the variety of symptoms that ADHD can have. A link to the study will be placed below if you wish to know more information. If you wish to further the genetic research into ADHD and contribute to the treatment of ADHD as a whole, then you might consider some of these studies, which may in turn convince others to do the same. ADHD is a complex behavioral and biological problem, which the scientific community suspects may have a genetic cause. The evidence for the pervasiveness of ADHD in families is quite established, which reinforces the hereditary aspect of ADHD. Looking into your own family history can help shed light on the pervasiveness of ADHD in your family and how far back it can be traced, thus providing more insight. Other non-genetic factors that may cause or contribute to ADHD are still being researched, but there is still no consensus among researchers in regards to environmental pollutants. Being aware of the toxic nature and safety guidelines of products in the home or work is always a best practice for health in general until more light can be shed on its potential connection to ADHD. Free ongoing research is available to families that wish to participate, which in turn may end up benefiting their own treatment and the treatment of ADHD as a whole. Please get more information about the free ADHD genetics studies available and seriously consider participating in one as well as asking others to do the same. To make sure you're as prepared as you can be, I want you to hit the notification bell below and join our newsletter because we'll be sharing much more resources on how to help your family cope better with ADHD, both at school and at home. If you like this video, please don't forget to like it and let us know what you liked or what you'd like to see more of in the comments below. The more people like, subscribe, click the bell, and comment, the more people will see this kind of content on YouTube. And we know some people could really use the help. We share tons of expert-vetted resources on parenting and education for differently abled kids, just like kids with ADHD. So make sure to check out our previous videos and subscribe to our channel to receive notification for videos to come. As always, I appreciate you taking the time Thank you for watching, and see you soon.